describe when you would have a master lease. What's a master lease, and why do you have it in a DST structure?
So I mentioned my history wasn't on the DST side, so I'm learning along with
Right.
everybody else. But my rudimentary understanding or layman's understanding of what a master lease is can be explained similar to a ground lease.
Okay.
In that ground lease, you have a property owner, you have a landowner. When you're buying the property, you're buying the asset, not the land. Similar to that, the master lease is the DST investor owns the asset. Mm-hmm. So they own 100% of the asset. What the MT, the master lease, is paying a lease on is the operating of the asset.
Okay.
So we're the DST owns it, the DST investor owns it. Us as a sponsor are managing income through expenses, through all the financial side of the deal to a net number, mm-hmm. and then we're returning back to the DST investor a lease, okay. or a payment for getting
that makes it real clean for the DST sponsor and for the investor to be able to have they're getting one payment. I think it's also part of the DST requirements themselves is you can't change leases. You got to have a lease on that property. So What do you do when you've got storage units or apartments or college kids moving in and out, right? So that way you've got one master lease who's taking care of all of that in and out stuff, but it satisfies that DST. One of the things I like about the master lease is, again, it's that pricing elasticity. When somebody moves out, I mean, you see the rents can go up, 5-10% in a multifamily.
Right. Yeah. So from the property management operating side of the asset, this is an advantage of multifamily.
Absolutely.
You're not locked in for a 5-year lease. Mm-hmm. Our typical lease averages from 10 months to mm-hmm. 12 months to 14 months, kind of depending on the market. But a good average is 11, 12 months. And you're able to reset based off that. So mm-hmm. whether the tenant moves out, you have a new lease coming in, it resets to the current market. Excuse me. It'll reset to the current market. If you have a renewal, you don't always get to the top of the market, mm-hmm. but you get a lot closer to that. So by having the property management side, the asset side leases constantly turning, you don't end up with a large loss to lease or a large mm-hmm. discount to where the market is.
And so most of them are 10, 12, 14 months in that range?
Excuse me. Yeah, so our typical lease at multifamily is 11, 12 months.
Okay, typical one year sort of thing.
We'll lease anywhere down from 6 months to 12 or 14 months. Mm-hmm. Difference being we'll price different premiums based off mm-hmm. that. And another aspect of having this flexible lease is we will schedule leases based off seasonality. Mm-hmm. So Denver is a seasonal market. Sure. Winter's not the time you want to be doing most of your leases. We'll anticipate that when we're signing spring leases. We might shorten them up a little bit so that they expire in summer. Or we may push a later lease in the year to expire later mm-hmm. so that we're not hitting that winter window. So
now, do you guys use that that latest software? That my daughter went out and got an apartment, and it was her first apartment after she got out of college. And she checked, it was with in the Denver Tech Center area. And so she looked at what the price was, and we were talking about it, and she checked back 4 hours later, and the price had changed. And the next morning, the price had changed. It was just the flexibility of that. I think that must be the software systems that are constantly changing that.
So rent optimizers, LRO, LRO and YieldStar, I believe, are the two main players in that today. That's really taken off. You used to have, years ago, the on-site staff would set the rents. Mm-hmm. They'd call around to the market. They'd say, hey, what are you leasing for? And we'd mm-hmm. play the game and try and set where the rent should be on every single lease. It's inefficient. Also allows human error and all mm-hmm. that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So what the lease optimizers do is put an algorithm together mm-hmm. where they say, I know based off the competitors who are also using this system, anonymously baking that in there and saying, hey, market rent should be around this. You have vacancy at 10% in your 2 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. So that's a higher vacancy. So we need to lower the rent a little bit to entice some more volume there. Your 1 bedroom is full. You have one unit available. We can try and get a higher rent on that, so that this is going into an algorithmic program that initially sounds like does this really work?
I think it's similar to the way the airlines price their seats and the way I think it got really strong with the storage units.
Right.
They were doing a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Multifamily with the DSTs had, until just a few months ago, it was kind of lagging as far as the yield is concerned, and there wasn't much to drive it on the upside. But
Sure.
I think with the inflation and with the what we've been talking about here, the elasticity of that really does make it one of the better inflation hedges.
So, kind of what we were discussing with the being able to schedule leases and reset leases as they turn over on an individual side, unlike an office tenant, unlike an industrial tenant, where it's a longer term lease with certain steps. We're able to ride with that inflation, and that goes back to what the investors were asking for on doing a bonus rent profit share program. Was they were wanting to know that multifamily is a hedge against inflation. The reason for the hedge is because of the shorter term leases and the more turnover. Let's participate in that, and so. Yes, on the multifamily side, from trying to hedge inflation and preserve capital, it's a better avenue than some of the other asset classes, especially going into the environment where it might be a little bit cooler for the next year or two.